Good evening. This is audio test. Is my voice audio today? Or, well, day isn't quite the word. All right. Greetings. Once again, another dark stream. It seems to be working reasonably well for me at the moment. Am I streaming? Yes, I am. Good. I thought I had pressed the button for that. And why is that gone over to there? Who knows? Well, school holidays are fun. But they do make things run late sometimes. All right. I think we're up and running with everything. I'm going to reopen this chat just in case it is not properly connected. Out of stream, I just quickly fixed the warnings I was getting for using setting a parent of a transform with something else. I also chucked this block in here. I haven't actually tested that yet. So that's basically doing that to-do that's there, trying to get the mouse position working. Sorry, not trying to get it working. It was working fine. Just checking if it works fine with the much simpler code here of just saying set this position, except with the Z from this other one. And that does seem to work fine here. Does it work okay down there? Yes. It's interesting. I click. Doesn't seem to count as a drag until I get a certain distance away. Interesting. Does that seems... I was going to say it doesn't seem as smooth as before, but I don't actually remember how smooth it felt before, so maybe it's not. Maybe it is. I should just probably keep the other code and just pick which one to use. And yeah. That all seems to be in order there. Good. Need to get this on a charging pad. What is that? Why is there... Oh. That's the bottom of the charging pad that has come off. I'll have to take my word for it because this is not a movable camera that I'm using here. It is a state-of-the-art 2016 laptop webcam. I don't actually know whether it was state-of-the-art back then. But it was a long time ago. Got to be at least a year ago, possibly two. Okay, it has been a day, so please excuse my lack of introducing myself. I am David from Fertile Pixel, and I'm doing what I always do when I stream, which is just making games for fun, until some kind of windfall allows me to make games full time. So what have I got? I just made these guys turn left into the wall just there. Well, that's kind of interesting. Not turning all the way left. That's an interesting bug. I've used the animator to do the turning. And I probably should just write some code that just lerps the angle to a target angle. Because there's something about it that's not quite right. Plus the health bars shouldn't rotate with the robots. Anyway, that's not what I'm working on right now. Last time I was working on this blueprint editor, which, as you can see, is completely successful in letting you drag these lasers onto the arms of this sort of robot template that I threw together. Nothing is final art-wise. This is all just, everything's placeholders that I, in many cases, got a little carried away with. So, yeah, that seems to work. So what I might actually do is grab that and just basically do the opposite. Just set the Z on that one. And then just like fix this up. Get this new position. And we can inline this. There. Stop doing that. There. Oh, because the cursor was right there. Yeah, that works. And then I can pull this out into a function, or a method rather. And that can be called, oh, actually, I'll just undo that for a second. Yeah, we'll call it new method. Then I can undo that. I really just want that, so I'll probably do that. Yes. This is just get drag position from mouse, whatever, from pointer. Now, what have we got going on down here? This is just saying it's not going to compile my tools assembly because apparently there are no scripts associated with it. And these ones are fine because that's just, I haven't implemented that, and that's why it's doing that. And there's still a bit too much debug logging there. I can clean some of that up. Anyway, all of this stuff here is adding that onto there. Transformed opposition. So pose. So I'll instead do pose plus equals that. And then transformed opposition equals pose. Don't remember what all of this stuff, this other stuff is necessarily. But now I can do essentially the same thing. I'll just move that down below there. I think that's all like some stuff I was using for debugging this, it was. So now I can just pull all of this out. Delta. Yeah, so just using event data. Okay, so I'll extract a method from here, and this will be similar, but it will be get drag pose from offset. There. And then I can put these together into a single thing. And maybe I'll configure that. What do we got here? This is a draggable icon. So yeah, I'll just this is just a constant that I'm going to say. There we go. Use drag position pointer equals true. Well, I think pointer drag pos makes more sense. What's the idea here? Okay, and then pos equals. Oops. What is going on there? I need to check what's the deal with constants. Use that, then it's that. Otherwise, it will be that. And there we go. And then I can just inline that temporary variable. There. So now I've still got that other code, but I am using just the mouse position, and then later on I can just compare the two and see if it's any different or better or worse. Using it one way or the other. It should be okay to just put that like, I think just that. There we go. So I've got now these two different things. Sure. All right, good. Let's deal with that to do. What's my actual goal here? First of all, maybe figure out why that's happening. Some def will not be compiled. Now, just check. I need more phones to use the different stream managers at the same time. Yep. Anyway, let's have a look. I don't know if that's actually a problem. It's kind of only when I use the tools menu. Re-import. Cool. Okay. Yeah, this seems like just a turn it off and on again kind of thing. Because I have had Unity just open since the last stream and minimized, and then had the computer awake and asleep a bit. So who knows what's going on since then. Right, so I showed just before that I can drag this onto here, and that's good, but that's just the UI of it. So I'm going to keep the console open here so I can find like extra debugging messages that I am not interested in anymore. That one's going to get annoying, but I don't feel like using up any of the limited stream time reopening Unity. But does that mean... Yeah, I've got some things here. The tools seem to be there, so I don't need to recompile it. Right, so that is the blueprint editor is generating a message, which is going to be another warning. So I'll run that. But meanwhile, blueprint editor, it'll basically hear about these calls here. I'm just going to make that public. So internal makes it available just within the assembly. So it's like public, but it doesn't extend beyond the assembly, I believe. Wait, is that right? Let me just check I'm not lying there. So C#, access modifiers. So here we go, internal. So you can call it from within the file, within the class. So that could be class across a different file. Similar, same access as private. That's interesting. You can actually have a variable that's accessible from within only the file. Never used that. Okay, can you see a derived class and a non-derived class in the same assembly? So yeah, it just doesn't cross into the different assembly boundary. So that might actually be useful for preventing needing to recompile things that are not completely aware that they don't rely on public things. Okay, so we've got a begin drag, we drop this in here, and we're getting this mount part is not implemented. So that's the next thing to deal with. Basically implementing that, I believe, because that should give us everything we need to keep the blueprint of the selected thing up to date. So we have here like what is selected. Where's its blueprint? Blueprint. Okay. And who am I? What's going on? And what's all these weird words in front of me? Okay, so we know, yeah, what point's going to be bound to. We essentially want to do something similar to, like we want to use the same selection as these guys here. And so that's handled by the like has routine selection, which really it's like not just has routine, but other things as well. So that's using this script that has routine selection script. Yeah. I don't know if this is a great way to do tracking selection. I guess there's a couple of things. So if you have multiple things that are going to care about what is selected, then just having a system where you can have the have things subscribe to the selection and receive events would be good. And I don't think that's how I've done it. I don't think that's how I've done this. I've essentially gone, okay, when you click this is sort of, if something's selected, make the selection indicator follow it. But otherwise, when you click, if you click on something and it hit the right type of thing, and there was one of those there, then we update that selection property on this. And yeah, that's what I was talking about, subscriber notify, because this is now manually hard-coded to notify the routine editor that we selected Robot Factory. And this is just doing the first part of this, moving it to the right position. I could probably get away with not doing that because it would be like the next frame that it would show up on there. But now, if I keep this model, then I'm going to have to do that for this as well. Blueprint editor. Blueprint editor instance. So that's like one way that I can do that. And that would notify the bit that's responsible for this every time. I can kind of do it the other way around, potentially. I think, yeah, so this is a singleton, so it just has a single instance. And that means that effectively anything can just have a look at what the selection is right now. But they won't necessarily hear that there's a selection. Which does matter because we need to update what's on here when the selection changes. But let's not worry about that right now. Not just yet. So I'll just go to this blueprint editor, and we know what is selected because that's going to be the has routine selection, even though it's has routine, it's not like blueprint. Now, I got to think for a second. If I want to have undo on this, like if I want to be able to mess up the robot and then hit cancel, then I should keep all of the state of that blueprint locally, and then on pressing a button, it would at that point lock it in. But I'm not going to do that yet, and I can go back and add that later. So I'll grab that instance dot selection. So this is what's actually selected. Instance. You're trying to tell me what? It's a bit weird. So it has routine selection. Dot instance. Dot selection. So that's what's selected. Now we don't have a way through that interface to get the blueprint. And I think I want the blueprint. So let's add that. And this will be Robo Blueprint. Blueprint, and let's just say get and set. That should be okay. And now this is no longer just a has routine. Right, this is just in general a selectable thingy. And this is the interface for everything I might want to access about the selectable, the selected thingy. I will rename that later, but I'll put a to-do to rename it. No, that's silly. Renaming is easy. So I'll just rename that. There's just like a selectable entity or something. Selectable unit. That's better. All right, cool. So they can be editable, they can have a routine, they can have a blueprint. And that might be null, which is fine. Cool. So now a robot is broken because it does not have a robo blueprint. Is this maybe, can you make it optional? No, I'd have to make it. Can I put a virtual property with a default implementation? I don't know. Anyway, let's just. Oh, I'm going to go here actually. Just go straight to that and say, yes, implement me that. Property there. I'll just put those in the same order as they are in the interface. Oops. And rather than having a cowman there, just turn null. It's a non-nullable value type. Okay. Is that because is that a struct here? Yeah. So it's a value type. All right. Let me just have a think there. I basically want to have that be like either a blueprint or nothing. Can we have an optional property? Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about. Yeah, I could have two. The thing is that like whatever interface I'm returning from the selection thingy, that's the one I want to have everything I need on there. So I'm not messing about casting things or checking types. And yeah. But if it's editable false, then yeah, we don't want anything. Let's just give it a get set, and then it'll just not have anything that's non-default. And if editable is false, that will prevent actually changing that blueprint. Not like prevent it, but the tools should not allow changing it. And then actually when we create the robot, then we can actually set the blueprint. That I think would be a good idea. So we create it with the factory. And then yeah, we've got our parts from our blueprint. Blueprint is equal to blueprint. But I probably want to clone that. How do I just make a copy? Oh, wait, it's a struct. I can just do that, right? And it's passed by value because it's a struct. I hope that's right. So these are the only parts that I'm looking for right now, right? Yeah, so that's doing some stuff to each part. Cool. Yeah, so that's setting that blueprint. So we'll still have the right blueprint if we want to look at it. So that's fine. Right, what's next? Those messages are going to get annoying. All right, so now we know what our selection is. And we know we've got, check if it's editable. Our selection equals null, then yeah. Nothing, no unit, I think. There we go, so we'll guard against the selection being null. And now, do we need to check that? I think this is it can't be null because it's a struct, so that's fine. But, oh yeah, that's right, so editable. If not selection not editable, just do the same thing, Cool. And return. Alrighty. I need to get some sound effects into this game too. But I think it's going to be better to get the bots actually being proper bots. Alright, so now we know that we've got an editable thing selected. So now we're allowed to change the blueprint. So now we can say let's grab the blueprint from the selection. Another problem. I'm going to end up needing a big switch statement. The way that this is structured here. Now, if I had made these blueprints in a way that they had like a dictionary of part to something else, it would be different. But yeah, let's just go with the switch statement. This is just going to be on mount point. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, let's just start at the top antenna. And now we're going to set a RoboPart. Does that seem right? Yes. Now, that's it for that case. And then just the same thing for every other case. Just having a little think. Now, this does not necessarily test that the part is compatible, but I think that would have already been done. Pretty sure I already did that in mount point UI, because it kind of needs to be aware so it can be highlighted when I add that at the appropriate time. Yeah, time incompatible part. So yeah, by the time you call this, it already has been checked. Okay, so we've got our antenna at the top, and then we've got all of our sensors. Basically just 4 sensors. Probably should have just started with sensor 1 only, and then I could just go add the others later. On the other hand, it's not going to save that much time. Right. We want the left and right arm. I'm sure there'd probably be a way to just map to this name and just use reflection. Okay. So let's grab the backpack. And the legs. And I think that actually covers every case. Unless it is the default case and that is not expected, because if I've covered every enum constant, there should be no no chance of calling a default case unless something that is not a mount point enum constant is passed in. Okay, and I think it's going to complain if we don't break out default case, break out of. Pretty sure that's all our mount points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. 9. Good. So now we'll actually set the value in the blueprint, and now we need to update that blueprint in the selection. Do that. And we don't need to log a warning anymore because it is implemented. That should basically work. No reason to think it wouldn't. So we should be able to select a factory and make laser arm robots, but not select a robot and make it a laser arm robot. I mean, not that it would matter because it's only in the factory that those the bits of code run that will actually activate the different parts. Let's give it a whirl, see what happens. A bit quiet on a Monday. Or maybe this is a Sunday night for some people. So, what have we got here? We've got laser and shield bots. See if I can just pause that and look at this. Look at this factory here. Okay, got the robot prefab and so on. I've got a routine. And I think it's just used these defaults to set everything up. Oh, actually, that's fine. These have got laser and shield. So if I unpause that now, if I were to select that and instead say we're doing laser and laser, I think we might end up with one that has laser and not shield. Let me pause that and let me get this UI here and just shift it down temporarily. So yeah, that's laser without shield. Oh wait, was that already laser without shield? So we got, oh yeah, so this one down here is just shields. Just undo those moves. I need to make a button to toggle this as well. So let's get that third factory and just say that third factory. Now, I haven't got anything updating when you select these, but that doesn't matter, I think, because it should be quite possible to set those anyway. So we should have this thing spawning a laser hammer, and it's not. Oh, when I grabbed that, aha, interesting. So the mouse down on that when it's over a robot undid the selection. That's something I'll need to fix, and I think maybe if I make this canvas, or maybe this panel, make that image be a raycast target. It already seems to be a raycast target. So interesting. I want my has routine selection. This one here. So here, when I'm doing this mouse button down, it's casting a ray. And then it's trying to get one of those off what was hit. So I would need to make this basically stop. That's an interesting little bug. Should I fix that now? I'll have a quick look now. Block raycasts on a canvas group. Interesting. Oh, that looks like also a relevant question. I've got an overlay canvas with buttons. Behind the buttons are clickable objects in world space. I want to prevent that if I hover or click on my UI, raycast go through. How can I do it? Yes, this seems like a good, a very relevant question. It's exactly what I've got here. I've got a UI. I don't want the rays to go through the UI. Okay, it's just the graphics raycaster and the physics raycaster are completely different systems. Need to somehow bridge them. So I could basically put something there to catch all of the clicks. Ah. Okay, so that's basically like manually doing that. That gives me an idea to do something kind of opposite. Opposite to that. So I could, let me just stop that for now so that it's, so this is like can work. So what I can do, I've got the blueprint editor here at -2 position, overlaying some stuff. And this is a canvas. Can I add box collider 2D onto that canvas. With a width, with an X size of 9, perhaps, and a size of 7, a Y size. I've got a graphics raycaster on there. All right, now let me have a look at a factory. How come I can click on these? Is it because I have got a box collider 2D? Or is it related to the ridge body? I'm going to close this second inspector because I haven't used it much lately. I'll just open another one if I need it. A sprite renderer. Does not seem to be related to that. Anyway, yes, that could do it. I'm going to try that and just see if I can, by having the canvas have its own box collider, have that basically get hit. Oh, hey. Oh, YouTube didn't send a notification. I wonder if I can resend that or something. I don't know. Oh well. Glad you made it. I've basically just been continuing with this and debugging stuff and cleaning up code a bit. And right now I'm just debugging a thing whereby I can select this, but then, yeah, that seems to have fixed it. So the problem was the click on this panel, like on that thing, was able to click the robot behind it. So if I grabbed that when there was a robot behind there, it would select that robot and the factory wouldn't be selected anymore. Now this is a shield robot factory, which I need to have a look at what I'm doing with the code, because this is making shield having robots that just have shields, no lasers. But clearly, no, not clearly. I was going to say clearly the it already has lasers set here, but actually I haven't got this updating when you select something. So yeah, that's making laser bots now, isn't it? That's a robot that has a laser. So cool. Okay, that's working. And yeah. So now the solution was just a interesting hacky workaround, which is just because the graphics raycasting and physics raycasting are completely separate systems. It's not like hitting the UI. Wait, did I say graphics or UI? Anyway, it's not hitting the UI with the ray, with the physics ray. It's just hitting the UI with the UI ray, and then hitting the collider with the on the robot with the physics ray. So I just added a collider on the blueprint editor. So now it's got its own collider, and so that catches the physics ray. And that's the first thing that's hit. So that just prevents it from going through and hitting something else. So that works. All right, so yeah, it looks like it's working updating the blueprint. So now the final thing I need to do is when something else is selected, I actually want to tell the blueprint editor somehow. And I'll probably just say selection updated. I won't even bother with the subscribe notify system because I'm pretty sure these are the only two things that we'll need to know. There we go. I'll just implement this selection updated thingy. Now go here. And what we want to do here is basically show blueprint for the selected thing. So if you select a robot, you'll get whatever blueprint that robot had. I think that's actually 100% of what is needed right here, so that's good. So we're going to need to get the mount points, which, yeah, they're just children under this mount point diagram. And we're like up here on the canvas. So do I have anything referring to that yet? Got this being a singleton. I've got mount part, selection updated I'm working on. Probably should move that up here. Since it's only relevant to the singleton. And it looks like that's all I've got as well. So yeah, so I haven't got any way so far of it getting all the mount points. It's going to need to notify all of the mount points anytime that something starts dragging anyway. So let me just put it down here after that awake. Now I could have it find all of them. And yeah, that could work. I'll probably do that on start. We'll just start with an empty array here. On start, we'll just go find all of those. So we're going to look at probably get components in children. So that should give me all the way down the tree. So that should search down through here and find all of those mount points. Is that what I want? Mount point UI is what I want. So this should be an array of mount point UI. go. So now that we've got those, we should be able to basically clear those. I think I got my syntax right. Yes, where are we? Get the magnifier running again, I think. That is not the button for that. There we go. Just feel like this space here is not getting used properly. Right, so for each of those, what have they got in there? Oh, zooming all over the place. It does have a RoboPart. I was thinking go through and clear them all, and then go through and update them to whatever was selected. But probably better would be go through and set them to either whatever's in the selection or nothing. Which, if there's nothing in the selection, then nothing to do. Blueprint equals selection dot blueprint. That sounds good. Now we don't care if it's editable, just that the selection exists. And I'll need to clear it anyway. So if we don't have a selection, like do I clear the selection at the moment? I think only if, oh yeah, only if I select something. Just thought of an issue that I'll just fix up before I do this. Oh. Okay, now this issue here, the issue with this is that when something gets destroyed, we set the selection to null, but we really should also do that. And I think even the same with routine editor. And then if you go have a look in routine editor, which I don't have open here. It'll be in routine editor. Unused using statements. I'm looking at that select a robot factory. And then on update is just checking if it's changed. And if it has changed, then it should come clear them. So that possibly wasn't working before. So that should fix that. All right, back to the blueprint editor now. So now this could be null. Don't mind my typing. Apparently, my fingers have stopped working. Okay, if the selection is equal to null, then basically just want to clear everything and then return. So that's going to be iterate the mount points. Set that to null. And what happens in here when you set that to null? Anything? I think it looks like everything's being handled in on drop. And we've just got this RoboPart that's just a public thing here. So I'm going to make that a property. That'll probably break something. What I've done just then, actually, I'll change that for a minute. Let's just rename this to RoboPart capital R. Okay. I'm just going to duplicate this and just actually make that be a property that's backed by a private. Okay, so now I can have a separate getter and setter. And the setter will actually trigger an update of the UI. So RoboPart equals value. Now we also want to do some stuff. So RoboPart, that is the very same one as here. So that's updating that. And we've actually got this sprite here that's being set from there. Which means I might not have access to that the way that I'm doing it. So that's interesting. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so what I want to do here is basically similar to here. Wait, where's it getting the RoboPart card? From the dropped object. So dropping that card. Yeah, interesting. Basically, I'm requiring the sprite from here to be able to set that sprite in here. And that is not something that I have available at like here from this selection blueprint. It doesn't have the sprites in there. So I'm basically going to need another way to do this. Another way to associate the different things. I think I can handle that in the blueprint editor though. Because I think the blueprint editor is ultimately going to have this there, we've got all the RoboPart cards here. And they have which RoboPart is in them. So I should be able to actually find the relevant RoboPart card via like the blueprint editor and have it do the right thing. So that's cool. It's not going to work just yet though. Not until I do that. So that's just to do. Update display to relevant parts. Okay, now I think the blueprint editor is good. It's instance. It's single. So, oh hey. Oh, I was talking about that before. So internal basically means within the same assembly. It's public, but it's not accessible outside that assembly. Is it? Something that I had open here. I had it open just before because I was thinking about it. Probably not that. There we go. This is the table right here. So yeah, this table is pretty handy. I'll just make it big. There. So this is all of the different access modifiers you can use. I've never used file. I don't usually write private because it's the default in a class. So it's just a bit less to type and less to read. But it just depends where you want things to be accessible. So you want to usually give the minimum amount of access that, internal is, so public is accessible from anywhere, including different assemblies and like unrelated classes that aren't in the same hierarchy. Now, then there's like protected internal, which is you can basically access it from subclasses that are in a different assembly or anything in the same assembly, but nothing outside of there. Protected is basically, you can access it from within the class and any derived class, so subclasses, whether or not they're in the same assembly. And then internals, basically just same assembly, but not a different assembly. And then, so you pretty much got everything from file, which is like a weird one. It's just within the same file. And then private being within the same class, which could be spread across multiple files. And then private protected gets you the ability to access something from only, like in addition to private, it lets you access from a derived class that's in the same assembly. And then you can just use like regular protected, not private protected, to add the ability for a derived class outside the assembly to access. I'm not sure if all of these existed back when I was learning C# initially, because I remember learning public, protected, internal, private. So I'm not sure if these I just don't remember learning, or if they're less used and weren't covered as much in learning material, or if they've actually updated it since. So, yeah. And the main reason I can think I might want to use internal is if there's some kind of effect on, like, forcing things to recompile that might be accessing something. No, that doesn't really make sense anyway. It's basically just keeping things as contained as possible so that they can't be changed unexpectedly, since unexpected changes are probably a cause of a large proportion of bugs. What I want to do from here is grab the, like, get part sprite for my RoboPart. Maybe part name. Output name. Maybe just RoboPart. Let's try like that. So, I can do better than that actually. Grab the sprite from there, and which I can't do yet, but that's okay. Then I want to do this thing. And part image enabled. True. I've got a bit of duplication here. But I can probably pull that out into a shared method that just sets the sprite. But basically, its value is null. Then we want to do something different. We don't want to look up and set the sprite. We want to go set it to null and now minus false equals false. There we go. All right. So that should update the display of the part. And that's pretty much, other than just telling the blueprint editor what was dropped on where, that's about all it does. Oh yeah, of course we can't navigate to it. I didn't tell it to make one yet. Okay, so now we've got this, and that's actually going to be based on some stuff. So what was I in the middle of here? Oh yeah, I was in the middle of going through these and setting the RoboPart to null. And now when I set the RoboPart equals, and now we're going to look at the blueprint. And now we're actually pulling out each individual part. So this is this is again going to be another switch statement. So basically what we want is mount point. We want to get the mount point type. Is that just called .type? So I'll look at mount point UI, and what does it have? It has this mount point, and it on drop it will call mount part with mount point and RoboPart, whatever RoboPart was passed in. So that mount point is private. So I will make a property that looks good. It's just got a getter, no setter, because they're not going to be changed ever, other than just through here. Back to the blueprint editor now. Okay, so now we've got mount point. And we just want to switch on that, I think. Now, where did I put that other big switch statement? Is it in this file or elsewhere? It was elsewhere. I'm tired. My short-term memory is somewhat short, so let's just operate without it. Where is a C# file that might have something in it? Yeah, here we are. There. Right there, blueprint editor, line 52. There's the problem. Code folding. All right, so I've already got an example of all of these cases. So I'm just going to grab that and go back to wherever I was and put that in there. There we go. So that's got all the cases there, and I just want to do something different here. So so we're going through each mount point, and if it's an antenna, then we want to look in blueprint antenna. And that's, instead of doing equals RoboPart, we're doing it like the opposite way around. We're doing our mount point UI. I should rename that to mount point UI. Dot RoboPart. Equals. I think this is the bit where I actually need to have the set of things, the set of there, I need to get the set of part cards available. Look those up. Yeah, that's clearing everything. So what is that? Is a RoboPart, which is the scriptable object with the name, etc. So yeah, we don't have that. So I think I'm going to want just locally here a get part card or something for not the antenna mount point. Hang on. What am I doing here? So I'm going through the mount points and I'm trying to get the part. Yeah, so I've got the blueprint. The antenna is what? That is RoboPart. That's a RoboPart. Well, what am I doing? I've already got what I need. Yeah. So I just need to, can I select multiple of these? What are you suggesting here? Oh, yeah. That's what I want. There we go. Oh. I hope this is suggesting the same thing for each of these. Is that just not? I don't know what triggers these. Oh, tab to go to next. Sure. Tab to accept. Tab to go to next. Okay. So if these are null, then they'll just set that to null, which is fine. Unexpected mount point value. Yep. It's still switching on mount point. All right, so is that a good thing to do? So selection was updated. If there wasn't a selection, we just clear out all of those and return. Now we grab the blueprint out of the selection, which I think should always be defined. We'll just have maybe empty values. And then we go through the mount points, and depending on what type it is, we set it to the relevant part in that current blueprint. And that should actually trigger updating that selection. So now the final piece of the puzzle is getting that part sprite, which if I just fold that up in start, we can get our part cards, I think. Yep, that looks good. And actually, this one I was going to rename mount point UIs, just because there's a thing called mount point and it was overloaded. And what's your problem here? It's never read. Yeah, but I only just added it. I haven't had time to get it read by anything. Okay. So now we've got all the cards, and so given a RoboPart, It'd be nice to figure out what triggers it to do the thing. Wait, should that be for each? I literally just wrote one of these guys for each. Yeah. Why didn't you offer a suggestion then? When that was that. Okay, so this basically not returning anything, so that's fine. If the RoboPart card dot RoboPart is equal to the RoboPart we're looking for, then we will return that sprite. And otherwise we'll keep looking. And if we get through all of them and we did find it, we'll return null. So that should give the sprite from whatever's here. I probably should add another one of some sort. It would probably make more sense if I planned this ahead a bit to have like a sprite associated with each RoboPart. Yeah, RoboPart, that's the enum value, right? Each of these guys. That's a scriptable object. Yeah, maybe have that scriptable object have the sprite for display on the UI. And then I could just grab it out of there, just pass that RoboPart around and display it. So it's a bit of a hacky workaround right now, and I might go through and fix that up later. Okay, so those, I think that's all the warnings related to that assembly definition thing. What is this here? Take a quick look. Yep. Cool. Right, so where are we at? That should be able to display lasers now when you select something that has lasers. And clear what's here when things are selected. I've only got the 2 mount points right now, so I'll need to go through and add those. So yep, we've got a nothing and one of those. And that doesn't have a laser, it's just shields, I believe. That one's got a laser, so kind of working. That white square is not quite the desired behavior. And I believe that is... If we get the sprite, instead of just enable true, it's going to be if the sprite is not equal to null. That's what will determine if it's enabled, so that if we don't have the sprite, we don't end up with the white square. But when it's properly set up, they should all have a sprite anyway. Now, let's see, that's actually working as far as dropping things on there and they're updating the factory. I don't have a way to remove things yet. Maybe that would just be like grab the part and drag it away. Yeah, I think that actually would work really well. So let's see. Yeah, I'll put that in here as a to do. Oh, and I need to do the highlight outpoint. Put it up here. A couple of to dos. There we go. So allow dragging that away. And this part, highlight the point. Because I haven't done that yet. So yeah, this, I think this is sort of, other than not being able to remove parts, I think it's working completely. It just only has one part and the arms that can be modified with it. So I will want to add at least one more part, but I think two more. I think if I add a shield and add like the legs, that would be good. Just sorting this thing out just here too. And how am I going for time? Oh my gosh. It's that late already. Well, I should kind of finish up, but I think I'll over-ambitiously just try to get the, what do you call it? Try to get something working. Oh, okay, I knew something I was forgetting there. Okay. Yeah, try and get the highlight working for those things. So that will be when any of these are dragging, they can tell the blueprint editor that they're being dragged. So that would be the drag start for that's actually interesting. So so these parts here, they have draggable icon that's handling all the drag and drop. And I might just make that go like that so we can actually see that. So that has all the drag related stuff, but this is used for multiple things. It's used for these buttons here as well. And so what I actually want to do here is I want some extra behavior for on begin drag. But it's going to be special behavior notifying the blueprint editor. So I'm actually going to do that thing, that interface that has the begin drag, and I'm going to get that onto the RoboPart card script. So it's a mono behavior that also is a begin drag handler, and then we implement that interface. And so most of the drag behavior is being handled by that other script, but this one is just going to tell the blueprint editor instance that we're dragging this is going to be a new thing. Okay, and this is going to be the RoboPart dot mount point. Mount point, yeah. So it'll have the mount point type, so then it can notify all its mount point type thingies that something is happening that they care about. There we go, and we'll also probably need the I and drag handler. So this is just the same thing, but end. And so we'll do the same sort of thing, just so it can tell all the things to stop highlighting now. We don't actually need that, do we? And we're not going to worry about that. We'll just go jump over here and we can delete that. And I'd like to just change these to public because it's fewer keywords to keep track of. And I don't have any particular reason to stop other assemblies from accessing this. I'm not shipping a library or something. Now, where was I? RoboPart card. Wait, I've renamed that. I think I selected the wrong option in the thing, or did I just copy paste that? Anyway, now we'll need that one. Now we've got this, and they're both going to need to do something similar. Just rearrange them a bit, because they're both going to have to notify those mount points. Okay, we'll call that mount point UI. Okay, so we basically want to tell these things. Now, this is actually something where using a message broadcasting system would probably simplify this a lot, because when you pick up the card, it could just broadcast a message saying, hey, this is the type of part that's being broadcast. It would save having to make this code specifically talk to other bits of code, like having this list of mount point UI items to look through. So maybe I'll do that. Let's have a quick look. Yeah. That's kind of moving to a higher level, going away from doing iteration yourself and letting some code that was written by someone who's hopefully smarter than you, and that at least has probably been tested a lot more than your own code would have been. Let them handle That's actually one of the value propositions of using something like Haskell, where the type system is so good that you can write code, and whoever makes the engine for Haskell, they can do all kinds of optimizations that you could just never do with more loosely typed languages. That was a coincidental cough. It was not a communicative one. Now, I think this might be for broadcasting a message to components on the same object. Calls the method name on every mono behavior in this game object or any of its children. The receiving method can choose to ignore parameter by having 0 arguments. Yeah, so this is basically where I could use broadcast message here. So yes, that's talking to this game object or any of its children. So yeah, that's actually just the right tool for this job. So I'm not even going to do any of that. That is not the shortcut for that. There we go. I am just going to broadcast a message, and the method name that I'm going to broadcast with is highlight mount points. And then the parameter will be the type of mount point. And then there's an options. That I think is optional. Well, that should probably do the trick, I think, but I guess we're going to have like a mount point or null or -1 or something. I think I'll just keep it simple and just give this a different name, like clear highlight mount points. And we don't need a type of mount point. I'm going to call this mount point type because that's what it is. There's a difference between a mount point and a mount point type. So there we go. So now I just need to implement this in these guys. So just add this in here. And that'll just take a just like that. Okay. And if the mount point type is equal to my own mount point type, What was I using before to look up? Was I using something to look up the appropriate type? Hang on. Mount point type, mount point, and mount points.get type. That's what I want. Oh, well, that's exactly what's suggested just here. So if it is the appropriate type, then we want to start doing highlighting. And we just want to enable that, I guess. And I was just going to say else highlight.image.enable equals false. But why don't we just do that directly? We highlight if that is that. And so enabled equals highlight. And we don't need a block. And for the other one, it's just going to be similar. I don't know if these need to be public. We'll basically just have that. But we don't need that. And that will just all be false because we're clearing. All right, and then I probably want to start these mount points. I'll just grab the prefab for those. There. So probably just want to have the image disabled initially, but we've still got the target. That's the collider. Or do I have to fix my compile errors? All right, what's the problem? You want you expected something else. Oh. Yeah, not as much nesting as there might have been. No overloaded method takes an argument. Is this just that I need to do like save all? I think I might have just had some unsaved changes. All right, so this should, yeah, it's highlighting those. Let go, stops highlighting. And if I drop one on there, also stops highlighting. So yeah, that's cool. That seems to be working. I can't actually tell whether it's just highlighting every single mount point. So I'll just quickly make a new mount point for some legs. So I'll just duplicate that one and then put it about here, like so. Get the highlight. Yep, that seems to be working. And positioning of the image here. I think that's just probably going to go there. And it's, well, it's not enabled, so it's fine with whatever. Okay, good. Oh, and of course we want this mount point to not be left arm. This will be for legs. Okay, so that should tell us if we're highlighting just the correct ones. Yeah, I guess it's essentially, I think it just uses reflection. So not the fastest. It would be more efficient to call the individual ones, I think, or use a different like pub sub system of some sort. But for the purpose of this, I don't think it's going to have a sufficient performance impact to actually matter. All right, excellent. That seems to only be highlighting those two. But to really test it, I need to make like a legs of some sort. So is this, do I have a prefab at all for RoboPart card? Don't think so. So let me pop that there. And then I'm just going to duplicate this one. I should make this thing be like a flex layout component, so it can handle laying these out. However, what do we got here? From the amount of text, it looks like maybe spam. But let's see. A promotion of my channel. Yes, it is spam. Well, I'm happy for you to promote my channel, and I will not send any money because I don't have any. Deal? Sounds like a good deal to me. But okay, so now we don't want this laser to be the RoboPart here. We want a different RoboPart. So let me select one. Standard budget legs. Let's get budget legs because I haven't actually done anything to allow budget legs to work, but that's okay. Now, oh yeah, I can use that. Do I have the budget legs sprite? Budget legs. That doesn't look great. Let's just reslice that. So I want to do like what I did with the laser here, which is just so that I'm not dragging some existing sprite around. Well, that magnifier is useful for me too. Let's just grab it like that. So, and name this budget leg accessory grabbed. Why not? I probably could just use these. Like, there's nothing. I'm not like. Well, at the moment, I'm not doing something like a, like characters with hair, clothes, etc. That would kind of sit there. Those are like sprites 16, indicating there might be something that I haven't named. Sprites 15, that's the one. Explosion. There we go. All right, so we'll apply that. What was I in the middle of saying? Oh, yes. Back in my day. And so on. I used to have a Simpsons screensaver. And one of the screensavers on there was just Grandpa Simpson just on his rocking chair going around the place. Just panning across the screen, just telling little bits and pieces of stories that did not add up to anything. It was quite funny. Now, I was just trying to do something. Okay. For some reason, I don't get an apply button, but that's okay, as long as I actually get a sprite to select. So I want to be here. No, don't get that. Okay, let me just click on this. Okay, and I'm choosing budget legs shrink wrapped instead. Yes, that's much better. And we're on preserve aspect. Yep, good. It wouldn't hurt this one's. Oh, yeah, okay. No, never mind. Whatever I was just going to say. Okay, so we've got those legs, and that should be able to go just there. And did I set the type? Budget legs, yes. Let's take a look. There we go. It's got the legs on. Nothing's selected right now, so it hasn't actually set that blueprint for anything. I do need to make the editor, like if you select a robot, it'll, oh, interesting. Yeah, that's the blueprint that this factory had when it was made. So now if I were to add that on there, this one still has one laser arm, this one has two. And there's no way I can replace that. I can see those highlighting. Oh, that was like something that caused that to be unselected. Oh, that's cool. If I go there, it's sort of dropping it in the bottom corner. Oh, I see. There are other canvases here because each of those little bars is on its own canvas. So if you're on another canvas, it's okay. But if you go somewhere other than on a canvas, then it just drops over there. Cool. So these highlight, but that's happening like behind the part. So I might look at changing how that does that. But basically the highlighting's working. And I could just make those mem points a little bit bigger. And I guess I need a shield part and move. Yeah, I guess potentially block the raycast to other canvases. Or make this UI cover the whole thing. Or actually, probably the best thing to do with this is, actually, before I say that, let me check these guys here. So this is like the routine track and the command palette and routine editor canvas. Just thinking, so this is one canvas here. So I think it would work well if I got Yeah, if I got this thing for the draggable thingies, draggable icon, and when setting the position, either of these guys here, then we want to clamp it within the canvas. So that would be maybe like pull that into its own variable. There's our raw position. And then we want to clamp the raw position within the bounds of the canvas. So what are the bounds of the canvas? Good question. We have the parent ancestor canvas. So let me just check. I'm pretty sure that I can just take the transform position and then use the width and height. Or maybe I need to get rect transform. Don't have any height on there. Anyway, let's have a look. Canvas bounds in world space. I think that's probably what we want. Rect transform. Size delta. Position. So on. Crazy results, etc. That's where they found what they needed. Oops, that doesn't exist or is private. Very helpful. Scaling my background sprite to fill screen. 2D. So if I just maybe type that. Let's see. There we go. The link didn't work, but I found it anyway. You have to use the world size of the sprite to make this calculation. This is using the camera's orthographic size, which is not what I need. Okay, so what I've got here on the canvas is it has a rect transform that has a position and width and height. I'm going to just change this to be called RT. I didn't do the rename properly on that one, hey? Because I have it there. What's this? Anyway, it's the blueprint and canvas that I care about, but it does have a position, width, and height. Yeah, size delta. What's that? The size of this rect transform relative to the distance between the anchors. All right, so we've got anchors. I guess that's basically it. It's a vector 2. I think that's going to be in weld units. Let's assume it will be, since it is a canvas in weld space. Okay, so we've got a position and a size now. That means we should be able to compute the bounds. For X and Y. So the minimum X is going to be that position added X minus size of X. And yeah, basically, yeah, give me that suggestion again, thingy. Min Y, for some reason stops there. XX is, yes, that's that. XY is that. Okay, so now we've got the bounds there. Minimums are minus the size, maximums are plus the size. Okay, looks good. Let's just put the X's and Y's together. And so that is what we're clamping between. Is there a clamp for vectors? Who knows? Anyway, what we want is to set the X value to be clamped in between. So we're going to take the value and clamp it between those two. And then I'm either going to let this suggest something, or I'm just going to duplicate that. Just change all these things to Y's. Y. So it's not the raw position anymore, but that's okay. We've just updated the X and Y to be within the canvas. And I'll just run this and see if that worked. And then I had better get some sleep. Quite some time ago would have been a good time to get some sleep. I've got a lot of stuff to prep tomorrow for a presentation. I'll have to try and wake up early, I guess. Okay, I got my laser and oh no. It doesn't seem to be working consistently. It does still seem to be dragging onto those canvases. And it doesn't seem to care about its parent canvas size. Even though that ancestor canvas is specifically the canvas there, which I think should be. See if we're actually getting a case where it's not. Before I clamp them, here's what I want. The original roll position equals roll bars. So we're dealing with structs here, so assigning to structs essentially creates a new one, I believe. So that should be sufficient to cache my previous X and Y. I just want to do this not like all the time because we'll spam the logs too much. But if it's not equal to the original row position, then we'll bother logging. And we're going to log. It's going to be this. That to that. All right, let's give that a go. Until I've been up too late because everything's switched into sleep mode. All right. Okay. Problem is when I'm particularly tired, I lose track of time more easily and end up getting even more tired. Okay, so things just goes up a little bit there. There, I brought it outside, and it is not reporting any issues there. Yeah, I'm getting no logging at all. So that does not seem to be amazing. I wonder if that's related to this. The fact that in here I'm using the current raycast world position. Okay, so maybe I need this to be like, I'm going to log it anyway, but it'll look slightly different so that I can tell it apart. So I'll just do like that. But also I wonder if that does really work the way that I want it to, or I expect it to. Okay, so here we go. Just clear that, and away we go. No, that's not what I want to do. I want to run this. Is it running? Okay. All right. Now, let's grab the wheel this time. Okay, so it's only when I move it that I get a drag. Okay, so I'll just pause for a second and grab my scene here. Got my blueprint editor canvas. So it is at position 4.5. Let's just look at the X. It's at position 4.5 and its width is 9. So that should be right on 0. And that should be right on 9 over there. So let's go back and see that happening. Here the X should be getting to about 0, yes, 0.02. And let's go right over there. Should be getting close to 9. The X, yep. Okay. When I went outside of the canvas, it's just switched to 0, 0. So if I'm not on any canvas, that's actually just giving me 0, 0 for the raw position, which is not what I want. There we go. And now I'm starting to get numbers higher. So that 10 should be being clamped. Unless that size delta is not giving me accurate results. So that's a possibility. Oh, let's just do size. There. All right, and that'll be enough debugging that. I will continue with it next time and add a few parts. And then I better also make maybe just there the button to toggle this open and closed. We can go in and edit a robot. Oh. Edit the robots in the different factories, and that system's kind of working. But actually, I think rather than the X's here, it'd be good to do the same as I'm planning with the parts, just like drag things out of there. That'd be nice. Yeah, if I wanted to do it by just blocking the raycasts to the canvases, that would be maybe possible. Okay. So size 9 and 7. Yeah? Oh, okay. I figured it out. It is clamping between negative 4.5 and like positive 13.5. Because we want to subtract the half size. Never mind, just failed some basic geometry. I think that clamping probably is working fine. It just would not come into effect until I was like out here somewhere and out there somewhere and like up here and way down there. I like winter, like the not hotness of it all. But I don't like the colds and things going around. Okay, now I'm still getting the. Oh yeah, so when I go to those other canvases, I'm getting an accurate number, and it's clamping it to the edge of there, but it's still got that problem of that it's getting like the actual number it gets from here is like from that is 0. So maybe let's just make this an actual specific type. Vector 3, and then same thing here. Maybe just world position. Which is deprecated. This looks like a job for the Unity docs. Yeah, so there wouldn't be any raycast result if you're dealing with like your raycast has not hit a canvas at all. I could just put a big canvas behind all of the others to catch all those raycasts and give a non-zero result. It's a bit too hacky for my liking if I've got a better option. So I think that's like where it started, which it wouldn't be very useful. Position, current point of position. I think that might be what I want. It was too simple, so I had to overcomplicate it. All right. Well, that's certainly doing something different. I'm getting. This is not in world coordinates, is it? What if I just use that deprecated world position? It's only deprecated in this version, which is the one I'm using. So it's not removed. But is it exactly the same thing as the raycast? Otherwise, I just need to get the camera and do a screen point to world kind of thing. Looks like we're getting zeros all the time for that. So that's not good. So, yeah, I said I wasn't going to fix this now, but I mean, basically I'm a liar. It'd be really interesting to go back through all of the stream pods and just look how much time is spent just like building stuff, how much time is spent fiddling around with like little nonsense like this. Okay, yeah, that works. Just get the position of the cursor and clamp that. You always get a number, and yeah, let me drop that on there and see what happens. It didn't stick onto there, so that's a good sign. What if I put this on here? Yeah, just not even valid. All right. Got to make these basic legs show up so they can be wheeling along with their one wheel. Well, that's good. As long as someone gets something out of it. I mean, it's satisfying if it doesn't take too long. Frustrating if it does. I guess it's sort of like little puzzles. They can be interesting, but only if you can make progress with them. And sometimes it's kind of just frustrating because it's like, could somebody have maybe made a better API for this? Name things a bit better. But, you know, nothing's perfect. There's always room for improvement. And at least I haven't got a to-do sitting on there anymore. All right, I better wrap that stream up. And I better do it quickly or I'm going to be here rambling and get to sleep even later. I need to set an alarm, wake up early, and make some slides or something so I can tell people about code. So, thanks for watching. Thank you, Omega Killer, and anybody else who might be on. I don't really have a list of viewers or anything. So, that'll be it. Take care.